Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah. It's the dean of the. Yes.
So this is. You know what, they just went through your notes.
Next time I type it out, I should just email them to you.
Hey, do exactly what you did. So,
Yeah. Yeah, it's cool. It's got a full circle. Yeah.
Yeah. There you go.
Are you? How are you?
Oh. So it makes no sense. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Hey, Joe.
Yeah.
Joe. Hey. I think we'll have some tomorrow. Yep. Very good.
Beautiful.
Yep.
Thank you. That's right. I knew that. So today. Yeah, you haven't been let out. So how much? 20 lessons. Yeah, have a copy of this. And talk to your wife, apologize like. Yes. I know, right?
There you go.
Good morning, everybody.
Morning.
We're gonna call the September 21st, 2022 Village Workforce Investment Board meeting to order. We have many new members here, so we're gonna start with some introductions. I'm Jennifer Duval. I'm the Vice President of Consumer President at Compton Health here in Canandaigua. I've been on the board for many, many years, and I am the incoming chair. We go around this way.
Steve Clemenson, Vice President of Operations at Seneca Dairy Systems, manufacturing company in Seneca Falls.
Mike Davis, International Burger Rockport Business Manager, Mike Jankowski here, the Yellow Credit State Chairman at 98. I'm here for, I don't know,
We're glad you're still here, and yes, Mike would have yelled at you, so thank you for giving the full description.
I'll yell at you. Oh, geez, I didn't see you over there. Your brother snuck in.
Yes, he did. We invited him to.
I'm Sarah Amy. I'm with the Wine Company and our vineyards in Seneca Lake.
Good morning, I'm Mike Kaufman, the general manager of East Simone.
I'm Facer, Farm Fresh First, Solis, New York, fruit and vegetable business.
I'm Joe Colorado, O'Connell Electric in Victor, New York. I'm Executive Vice President.
Morning, Rick Plimpton. I'm with Optimax in Ontario, New York, and outgoing chair.
Jim St. Croce, president of Finger Lakes One in Seneca Falls.
Christy Rella, I'm the operations manager at North Wing.
Mike Rosenko, I'm a commercial lender at Lions National Bank, past year.
Julie Murphy, I'm the manager for Department of Labor staff in the Geneva Career Center, Wayne County staff in the Geneva Career Center. Genesee.
Julie, I work with like.
I'm Rob Nye, I'm the president of Finger Lakes Community College. Welcome.
Michelle Youngerman, I'm the CEO over at operations at the Archives.
Pete Beckes, Vice President for Enrollment at Keaton College and incoming Vice Chair.
Zachary Brooks, Talent Acquisition Manager at GW West in Clifton Springs, aerospace manufacturing.
Good morning, everyone. Lynn Freed, Executive Director, Finger Lakes Workforce Investment Board. And I want to ensure that we include staff and guests. Jen, I'll have you start over here, please.
Jen May, the project manager and executive assistant for the WIP.
Michael.
We're here.
There you are.
Mike Wilson, Deputy Director at the WIP.
Ian Davis, the new Mark Manicowski.
Good morning, Bill Peeler, Media Production Specialist here at Finger Lakes Council and Geneva City Council.
Welcome, thank you. The first discussion is related to having a quorum.
Yes, we had a quorum in person.
And I want to ask that all those participating via Zoom leave their camera on and stay in the frame to ensure that their attendance and votes are counted for.
Can everyone hear that on Zoom?
Yep.
Thank you. Thank you, Dr. Nye, for hosting us. For those of you who haven't been to this facility before, Lynn has a little housekeeping.
Yep, so we have breakfast, so please, everyone enjoy themselves and help themselves to that. Restrooms are straight down this hall. You go to the first L and you take a left. There is a community bathroom as well as additional bathrooms down the hallway. Thank you.
Meeting evaluation, we have a new process that Jen wanted to share.
So all board members on the back of your main table tent, you see a QR code. Scan that with your phone and it'll take you to like a dashboard or works with Bear Lake Workforce Investment Board, and you click the link that says meeting evaluation. You'll go to a Google form, everything's anonymous. And they'll compile all the analytics.
Thank you. Cool, that's exciting. Next topic is economic news and updates. We'll start with issues, trends, and concerns to come forward from any of the board members. Any industry updates? I'm gonna call on.
I can go for
Thank
the for the winery business. This year has been much different than 2021. We've seen less visitors in the winery. Sales have been steady, but there's a trend. Increased visitors through events, concurrent with all the wineries. People are traveling more outside of the city, possibly not as many people, people who had planned trips to go to Europe last year discovered the Finger Lakes. So that was good for all of us. The vineyard side, we just started cooking, so yeah, and harvest. We're excited about it.
Thank you. Anybody else? Rick, you want to give an update?
Sure, advanced manufacturing. Most businesses are really busy. One of the big challenges we have is hiring. To find people that are skilled at what we do. So there's a lot of training going on. Unfortunately, there's a lot of money in the market right now for training programs. There is one of the other challenges businesses are facing is people moving from one company to another. We've seen a little bit of this. There's been really little bidding wars for employees. And that's not healthy for at least in my opinion, it's not real healthy for the industry. But we're trying to deal with it. Same Finger Lakes Advanced Manufacturing Enterprise is getting back to business. We're kind of post-pandemic here, according to Mr. Biden. We're planning a big get-together at Finger Lakes Community College campus in Victor on October 27th, from 4 to 6 in the afternoon. So let your friends know. And there is information going out through social media and through the contacts through the web.
An invitation will be sent out through the web in the meeting notes packet that comes out after the meeting. This is an advanced manufacturing enterprise activity, an event. That said, as part of the board, listening out to all of this, if anybody's interested and wants to stop in, of course, I want more than that.
I can give an update on healthcare. The situation really hasn't changed that much for healthcare. The patients and customers continue to come, and we still have significant challenges with identifying talent and retaining talent, competing for talent. There are still attractive travel assignments for clinical staff, and so they're traveling all over the country if they are so inclined, and we don't have a lot of talent here at home. It is causing significant stressors for the current associates that we have. And not a lot of hope on the horizon unless we can pump some more nurses into the system quickly. We're seeing similar staffing issues, both in our programs for developmental disabilities, but then also in our social enterprise. We're moving our coffee shop from 332 to Main Street and can't staff it. So I can't open it until I can staff it. So definitely staffing.
Is your industry seeing the same thing that manufacturing is that folks are still bouncing from job to job, kind of like they're getting more of their
Yeah, yeah.
Well, speaking of healthcare, we just celebrated the opening of our expansion of our nursing and LPN program starting next year. We're going to experience the same challenge that you are in expanding on folks, but we're looking to increase to up to 232 nursing spots per year from what we had at 160, and then up to 64 LPNs. And it's a brand new state-of-the-art facility, and it's going to help provide better training community. And then second, in terms of manufacturing, we're trying to move into the 21st century and doing hybrid type of training. We have a program for a hybrid certified production technician system. It's not going to fit the needs of different industries perfectly, but it provides you someone who is trained to a certain extent that then you can take and hone into what you need for your company. And it's being done hybridly. We're working in multiple locations, so you'll work at home for part of it to take the course. We have it in Yates County, we have it in Wayne County, we have it in the library in Macedon to try to reach as many people as we can. The first course we ran this spring, we had 13 students, 12 passed, 11 of them are either in a higher paying job or out of the process. We're really excited. We're trying to expand that into other different skills as well.
Exciting. How about enrollment coming into the fall semester?
We're down about 4% for this fall. We don't know if that's good or bad. Just like everything else, there's a declining pool of people that want to go do things. The same thing you're experiencing, we are. I can say that we haven't gotten the final results for 2021, but for 21-22, community colleges were the worst hit nationally and in the state. In 2020, 2021, for fall, winter, spring, and summer, we had the best FTE of enrollment in the state, but we were still down 1.5%. So we were either number 2 or 3 generally last year in the state in terms of enrollment. But what it means is we need to go back out and keep pushing folks everywhere we can. One place where we are doing very well is our SUNY Online programs. We've grown that from the last 3 years. There's almost 600 students. The majority of them are from the New York City area. But what I just thought about in this room is how do we provide connections for people in this area?
I'll put you on the spot a little bit. The Coursera program that's in partnership with the community colleges. Do you have any feedback?
We're working on it. We have people working on that right now to see if we can do that. One of our biggest challenges is faculty-owned curriculum. So sometimes you have to work with faculty, but we're in the process of looking in person.
Department of Labor is definitely advocating that program has put a lot of resources back to us, so we'll be reaching out to see how we can continue to partner with the word out about that opportunity.
That's great. Also, in terms of Department of Labor, we're in negotiations right now to finalize bringing a testing center to the New York campus to help sort of synergize education, workforce training, the high school pathways to early technology, high schools, all in one spot. I'm pretty excited. Thank you. I'll be quiet.
That's a retail standpoint. 2021 was a very good year for us. It's a great bounce back year. Saw some big increase over 2019 first. 2020 just kind of right. This year, first quarter started out really strong. Softened up in the second quarter. We just started to see the school numbers right now. It looks like we saw a little bit back to school. So I think we're pretty optimistic about the season. Not overly optimistic. We should be positioned for pretty good season.
There's no parking on Labor Day Saturday there, Mike. You were gonna
Last starting back by Lord Gallo.
And what about retail employment? Are you finding, how are the stores doing?
You know, we hear from everyone. How do we hear from so many of our stores, and we see it ourselves? We may set up 6 interviews, you know, per position. Maybe 1 or 2 people actually show up, and we're really just puzzled by that. Why these no-show no calls?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's strange.
Or they don't even reply to the application. Some of them do get to schedule the interview and then don't show up.
Everyone's something after what.
One thing I noticed, so 2 months ago, I had those same exact problems. The last 2 weeks, I've hired 6 people, and everyone showed, pretty much almost everyone walked through our hired today.
What did you do differently?
I'm not in the market, but I did the exact same thing. I got good luck with paying for paid ads on Indeed.
Yeah.
And 2 months ago, I paid $1,000 and got no one. You know, in the last 2 weeks, you know, $300-400 on that. And like welders, material handlers, engineers, you know, pretty much across the board.
Well, anecdotally, traditionally, come fall, kind of like September, kids are going back to school through all the grades. There does seem to be an influx there into the workforce. And then again, you know, kind of pre-holiday crunch time, there seems to be a second influx. So maybe we're seeing a little bit of that. Hopefully it continues and gets a little stronger than it sounds like it's been. I'm going to throw Ryan Davis under the bus, seeing how he chose to share that he's the new Mike Manikowski. So do we have a report from Ontario County Economic Development? Welcome, Ryan.
Thanks for all the preparation time.
You're welcome.
Things are going well. Not quite 15 weeks in, so there's still a lot of work. So what we were working on past focus helps this group that we've taken on is really looking at talent retention over recruitment across the entire county. I spoke with Wayne Freeland's policies and a couple of our building principals, K-12. They figure the numbers somewhere around 30% of our kids that have graduated between 2020 till now that have either washed out of a 2 or 4 year program or not in the workforce or underemployed, I guess would be the best way to put it. We're trying to come up with strategies to try to reach back into that group and bring them into the workforce so they can be properly employed. Personally, I call it the Skylar Initiative. My daughter would be the perfect example of this. 2020 grad, not really sure what to do now because it kind of lost along the way. So that's stuff that we are working on now. So that, as you know, it was a pretty busy week for the OCEDC last week. A lot of really good projects and building the pipeline with more.
Yeah, and you guys, was it $1 million grant? You guys have been incredibly busy with a lot of the local businesses in Ontario County. Is it the CARE Zone?
Yes, so the Visit Ontario Safely grant money that we pushed out to travel and tourism business, that's been a large chunk of our time over the summer. 20 started with, I think, 21 businesses that we were helping out. Because we were able to shift a few funds, we ended up with, I believe, 22 or 23 that we ended up helping. Anecdotally spoke to one of the business owners, a friend of mine, the Waterside Wine Bar, Phelps, New York, good food and drink. And Don said, I think their reimbursement grant was $20,000 that did work outside the seating area, hired a couple new staff members, and he said, Ryan, $20,000 cost, it's like $20 million for a small business. The challenge for our department has been, when you're dealing with a small business like that, there isn't an HR department, and a finance department, and a billing department. It's 2 people that do everything. So trying to track them down, it's businesses that aren't used to working with the state. So they're not used to filing paperwork. So their filing system may not perfectly match with the state's filing system. So you have to kind of work through those issues. But all in all, it was a good program, helped out a lot of businesses. what we're gonna do moving forward. Most likely keep Nicola Ostrander from the Ostrander Consulting Group that work with these businesses on next year to do a little investigation and follow up. What we don't want to do is, give these reimbursement grants and then not know if it actually made any long-term impact. So, we'll reach back out to them in March and April and say, okay, you hired 2 or 3 full-time employees or the equivalent thereof. Where are you at now? Do you still have those 2 or 3, or are you really down to 1? Is it 1.5? And then, we're going to try to help them through their issues in the off season, but really we're talking about travel and tourism businesses. So of course they were busy May to September. Now we want to see what we can do to help them, October through March.
That's a great follow-up activity. And this is a great example of grant dollars coming in for the smaller and often seasonal type of work. So a tremendous amount of work has been done to the level. Thanks, Ryan.
Before we move forward, I apologize. We've got people on Zoom that I would like to have introduce themselves. E. Malloy.
Good morning, Danielle.
Morning. Oh, good morning. Sorry. Hi.
Can you just introduce yourself?
Oh, yes. Danielle Malloy, Access BR. I oversee the Rochester and Buffalo District Office. Thank you.
Next, I see Andrea.
I'm Andrea McGraw. I'm with Ontario County Workforce Development.
And then, thank you, Randy.
Good morning. Good morning, Randy D'Antonio. I am Vice President of the Public Employees Federation.
Is there anybody else on Zoom?
Oh, looks like Sarah's on there.
Yeah, Sarah Bruzzi. I'm the HR director at Del Lago Resort and Casino.
Sarah, we have Joe.
Hi, Joe Davis, Yates County Workforce Development.
Thank you, Brian.
Good morning, Brian Pincelli, Wayne County Economic Development and Planning.
Thank you, Kathy Bailey.
Hi, good morning, Kathy Bailey, Ontario County Workforce Development.
We have John.
Yes, good morning, John Salso, Wayne County Workforce Development.
Thank you. Is that it, Jen? Yes. Okay, thank you. Sorry, guys. Okay, still under economic news and updates, we're on to program changes. Share.
There are no program changes.
Privilege of the floor. Anything not on the agenda that a guest or member of the public would like to bring forward? Thank you. We'll move on to committee updates. We have Finance and Audit Committee being given by Lynn.
Thank you. Finance and Audit has been very, very busy. We are in the midst of not 1, but 2 fiscal audits. One is through the Department of Labor, and it's been pretty extensive going back to 2010. So it's taken up a good chunk of our time, and we've been hard at work at that and continuing through that. And then we have our annual audit via Bonadio. And Mark Waterstram will be here for the November meeting to give a report out on the Bonadio audit. Thank you.
Thank you. Governance and membership. I think Lynn's standing in for Mike.
I am.
Okay.
The approved slate of officers for the current term, July 1st, 2022 through June 30th, 2023 is our new chair, Jennifer Duvall, our private vice chair, Pete Beckes. Our public vice chair is currently Mike Manikowski, but I do want to say that Bill Peeler's legislative process is currently going through and Bill Peeler will be our new public vice chair. And then we've got Bob Dolan will continue on as the secretary treasurer. And then new members that we've got that have joined are Jim Sinacropi from Finger Lakes 1, Julie Maslin from Finger Lakes Visitors Connection, Steve Clemenson, Seneca Dairy Systems, and again, Bill Peeler, councilperson.
Great, thank you. Outreach and communication.
So I would like to share some analytics with the group. This is for the Finger Lakes Hires Have You Heard platform. And right here on the screen, see that we've been busy. We've been capturing these numbers for a while. I'm sure you've seen some of them on social media and our website. We share various forms of information. The last few months, we have focused on new board members, new board chairs, thanking the Finger Lakes Works with Their Hands sponsors, promoting the Department of Labor virtual workshops and virtual and in-person job fairs. So they're doing really well. We post them depending on the type of media. They go on Facebook, LinkedIn, Twitter, YouTube, and our website. Just doing great, especially, I'm gonna embarrass her for a minute, Mr. Ball article, off the charts. This was not a targeted ad, it was completely organic with the audience that we built over the last year of this program. Just unbelievable numbers, both our social media and our website. So all of the work that we're putting into our social media is driving traffic back to our website where the visitors see other information. And so far in September, we've had 1,591 different page views on our website, and 28% of those users have come from our social media, which is awesome. And the Finger Lakes Hires Business of the Week platform is still available to anyone who needs recruiting assistance. And if you would like information on that program, it's available on our website or by emailing Lynn, Mike, or myself.
So a lot of these posts we're finding because you have posted them. So if you've got an ad on LinkedIn, Facebook, we're pulling that, and then we're taking that and also sharing that out. So if you're not already working with the Department of Labor and or Finger Lakes Works for your postings to get into the job banks and such for your marketing part, please continue to keep us in mind for that as well. And okay. So keep us in mind, because as soon as we see those, we do search and we seek to get those and continue to push those out. So by all means, same thing, send it to the Finger Lakes Web email box or send it to Michael, Jen, or myself directly, and we'll kick it out there. A lot of it, we reach out to you directly to get little spots on so that we can keep that going as well. We currently have a very targeted fame event going on, and that's going to cover several weeks. That's starting to get a lot of traction every single week. There's something new talking about fame, working up into the October event, the annual event that we're going for. Finger Lakes Hires, so not only are you cleaning up your mess act, but now I'm going to throw you under the bus because you're one of, it's your turn. GW List is one of the employers that we worked with last year. So do you just want to tell about the experience, working with us, collecting the information and the results that you guys saw?
Yeah, it was very positive. We did a different ad each week. We talked about our business one day, overall recruiting strategies, open jobs for opportunities, internal training programs. Our president gave a statement on future growth plans for the business, and we did see a pretty large increase in traffic to our website and to our careers page. We did see an increase in applications, but the timing of it, kind of in the middle of the staffing shortage that we've been dealing with for the past 2 years, we didn't have a lot of hires out of it, but we did see a lot of increased traffic.
Yeah. Thank you. So part of what we've seen and lived through with outreach and communications is activity was directly related to whichever variant was coming through at the time. So as folks got sent back home, if we were running a campaign, it would kind of level off. Once things would open back up and a campaign was running, folks would see a higher activity. So that's a little bit of what Zach is referring to, because it was during the 2020 or 2021. So we're very much going through the COVID variants. So again, if you're interested, let us know. It's a scream and steal for $500. It's a week campaign. We work with you. We're a little bit of a pain because we really try to draw a lot of good information about the company. We look for that really good success story. Who's somebody that maybe wasn't sure that they were interested in manufacturing in whatever industry it is, and really get their story. That was a very popular one. It is a very popular one. And then folks are interested in hearing from the CEO, from the presidents. They want to know the direction, what's happening, what's going on. So if you have any questions about that, give us a call. It runs for a week. It typically has a 4-week lifetime. So in the 1 week, we're running things every single day. We're running events, different posts every day, but then that seems to carry on for 4 weeks, even after we're done. And then we'll give you a phone call 6 weeks out and give you all the data. And Jen does a beautiful job of getting more data than I ever knew was available via social media. She knows whose grandmother contacted which grandson to tell them to go to which, to put in the application and stuff. So there's a lot of good information in there. So any questions about that, if you want to learn more about it. We're in an interesting phase here as we're moving, as Ricky mentioned, we are out of the pandemic. So it'd be interesting to start using all of our outreach and communication tools to best help each other.
Well, I think in order for this type of social campaigning to be successful, all of the board members should be following LinkedIn or Facebook. If you have membership on those platforms, follow and share and get them out to multiple networks. That's the way it can be most successful. So I don't know, maybe you or Jen could share with all the board members, send out, this is where we have pages that you want you to go out and like and share.
Yep, absolutely. We sure will. Thank you.
Okay, so anything else, Jen? No. Performance and Evaluation Committee, Michael Willison.
So the Performance and Evaluation Committee met on August 30th. One of the things we reviewed was the training outcome report. And just to give you a little bit of that, we had an overall success rate of 92% in healthcare, 100% in trades, transportation, and construction, and 97% in manufacturing. What that means is basically people entered the program, they completed it successfully, and they found a job that related to that program. Those are great numbers, I think, reflective of a lot of things, the economy, the need that you guys have for workers, but also the work that our staff are doing in our career centers. Then we also talked about the process of our demand occupation process. Those training programs have to align with what we call in-demand occupation. Every year, this board approves and reviews those occupations. Our next Performance and Evaluation Committee meeting is October 25th, and we invite you all to attend to give your input on what your current and future needs are with regards to occupations in your industry.
Thank you. Next is Economic Development Committee. I think Mike's doing that one too.
Hi. So yeah, we met in June, didn't meet over the summer. We're kind of excited because our next meeting is October 14th, and we'll be having Vinny Esposito from the Empire State Development Corp talk about different projects in the Finger Lakes. We're also going to have Bridget O'Brien, Deputy Director of Finger Lakes REBC, to talk about her role with the Regional Economic Development Council. So that's going to be, again, October 14th. And if you're interested, let us know. We'll make sure you get the link for the Zoom. Thanks.
Thank you. Youth Committee, we don't have Lori or Drea. Then
it's back to me. Both Lori and Drea had prepared a beautiful, lovely, detailed report. I'm going to do the best at the high points. I will start with Finger Lakes Works with Their Hands event that was May 25th here at Maine campus on Finger Lakes Community College. Very grateful to our partners here. It was the first time that it's been held here in the 15 years that the event has gone on. It is a huge event, and it was a huge endeavor to make all the switches. FLCC could not have been a better partner. Drea was new, and she took the lead role on this. She's not here, but high five and kudos to her. She did an amazing job. Of the over 700 people that attended the event, over 400 were from the local schools. We had a lot of new vendors. We had a lot of new people that had not been to the event before, students, of course, as well as sponsors, vendors, and volunteers. It pretty much went off without a hitch. It was a great event. And it was in the midst of the variants. So the amount of additional partners need to call in the Department of Health to ensure that we had all of the safety regulations and everyone was as safe as possible during that time. It was, the potential, obviously, for a super spreader event, So there's a lot of work done to make sure everyone's safety, as well as getting around the whole campus to all of the events. This group meets all year long to talk about this and to prepare. We're currently in the process of debriefing this event because it was different. The other thing that was different was instead of it having a specific focus on career trades, skilled labor trades, and advanced manufacturing, we had healthcare. So we combined several industries. So we had different dynamics going on there. Continuing on, we're working with the group very closely, the committee, to see what did we like, what worked really great, was that the best fit? Do we want to keep going with the same type of model? Agriculture was one of the industries that they said, geez, you know what, we really want to get this to a farm. So we're going to continue those conversations. There'll be additional report out as the committee continues to direct and drive the direction of this. But considering it was off for 2 years, came back online, and the amount of work and shift and change, you know, we pretty much wiped a lot of the slate clean from certain perspectives, new locations, so many people, a new dynamic with having all industries, different diverse industries come in. We're considering it a huge success and looking forward to moving forward with that. Thank you.
Thank you. Theme update, Rick, and you already shared mostly what's going on.
Yeah, I feel like I kind of left the cat out of the bag already. I'll share a little bit more about the annual meeting and what we're planning to do there. So FAME, over the past 9 months or so, has been doing some strategic planning. The initiative was led by Causeway. And so now, you know, look at what we've done historically and where we want to go in the future and kind of map out a path forward for FAME. So at the meeting, we'll be sharing an overview of that strategic planning with the group. And then we've got a speaker coming in from Washington, D.C. from the U.S. Department of Commerce that's going to be talking about the Job Quality Toolkit. I was invited down to Washington last month to meet with Secretary Raimondo and Secretary Walsh, who Secretaries for Commerce and Labor. And we did a launch of the Job Quality Toolkit, which is a federal document that's been worked on over the past year. And it is the foundational work for future policy around creating good jobs all across America. And so we're really delighted to have a speaker coming from Department of Commerce to share with our community. After that, we'll have breakout sessions, and we'll kind of refocus on FAME and where FAME's going and get committees together, or people that are interested in joining select committees to help stand FAME up and get. So it'll be a busy afternoon.
Good. Lastly, director's report.
Thank you. Over the summer, we had a luncheon for new board members and new committee chairpersons. And we invited some of the all-star players who had currently had those roles and been with the group for a very long time. Everyone attended, whether they were in person or a couple folks zoomed in. I am very grateful, and I was just really excited by the amount of enthusiasm and questions and discussion. So we have a lot of action items coming out of that, and I'm just going to give a very quick laundry list here. So number one, we hear it all the time, but we heard again that acronyms, you know, really need to have definitions. So we are working on an acronym library that will be posted to the website and more accessible. And we're trying, as we're having these meetings, every time we use one, we're trying to say what it means. So I think we should get a bell and maybe like a little jar, maybe like you have to pay $1 every time you say the acronym. And kind of help encourage us to keep going in that way. So we've got that coming out. We wanted to talk, folks wanted to talk about website accessibility. See, I'm trying to make an acronym out of 2 words already, going backwards. Website accessibility and how to find things and kind of, you know, wanting to rework that. So we're going to include additional items. So there's going to be, as we start working on this, we're going to have more information coming out. It'll probably come through some of the committees, such as performance and evaluation, communications, and outreach, for folks to start taking a look at what do you like, what makes it more accessible. Folks wanted to know and have more data accessible. So we've got information that comes out through certain meetings, and it comes out at the reports. But people really want to better understand what is an OJT on the job training. What does that mean? How does it work? How can we employers better utilize that service. Same thing with ITAs, individual training accounts. What's the difference? How do the employers use it? How are the career centers and the Department of Labor offices partnering with that, and better understanding those meetings. That information goes through finance and audit. That's the first check where the money is being spent. We're accountable for the grant dollars that come in. What are the numbers there? From there it goes on to performance and evaluation. And then it comes up, eventually it gets to executive committee, and then the numbers are here. So we want to build a format that allows that information to be more accessible on the website. So that's another example. And then we heard that folks wanted to visit the career centers and the Department of Labor centers. So we're going to set up tours and put it out to everyone. There'll be multiple. Folks really wanted to understand if the community's coming into these spaces, what happens? Who's there? What services are available? What does that look like, and how does that work? So we're going to set up tours, probably several throughout the year, and there'll be notices. Everyone's busy. I think it's going to be too hard to coordinate actual dates for folks, so we'll give you a laundry list of where they are. We've got 4 counties career centers and 2 Department of Labor, well, 1 Department of Labor center, 2 soon to come. So we're going to work on that. Folks really like the event that we have, so I think we're going to make that an annual event. Unfortunately, we can't do it for all the board members, but I think having new board members come in and the committee chairs really talk about, what do they want additional information on? What do they like? What do they want to see? We'll continue that conversation. Additional information that people were really interested in, it's going to come up in our resolutions today, is the administrative agreement that our chief elected officials sign every year. That's it's referred to as the CEO, chief elected official agreement. That needed to have significant changes this year. So that's been updated, and there was a lot of information that went out, but people want to better understand that, and as well as the Finger Lakes Workforce Investment Board, the bylaws, what governs us, how do we do it, what are the laws behind that. And then a map of services showing an integrated organizational chart. So what does the WIB do? What are we responsible for? What do the career centers do? What are they responsible for? What is the role of the Department of Labor offices? So people wanted to better understand the lines there. So we've got our work cut out for us. All of that's in progress. You'll see it coming up through the committees, and we're hoping this gets additional information, more clarity, and the information better accessible and readily available to you as the board members. So that was some of the activities that came out of that. And again, as we're bringing this up, if anybody has any ideas, I'm going to shamelessly plug for our meeting evaluation. That's something that you can go ahead and QR at any time and add to your evaluation. Let's see. So earlier this year, the Department of Labor and the career centers, we were meeting to discuss the 11 basic elements of the WIOA contract, which is the Workforce Investment and Innovation Act. That's why we're all here. So through these meetings, we wanted to develop consistency. What are different offices doing? And we found out that there was a lot of connectivity that we could gain out of that. So we've just reconvened. As everyone knows, Seneca County chose not to continue on. So we found a different vendor. So we needed to take a pause. We're back online for that. I also want to give a shout out to all the career centers. During the time Seneca County chose not to continue on with the contract, when anyone came into those offices, they let us know immediately. And between Wayne, Yates, and Ontario County, folks were immediately picked up. So I want everyone to know there was no pause in service, there was no gap, there was no one that said, hey, we weren't helped here. And I really want to credit the career centers. There was no gap anywhere. It was immediately, yep, we'll take care of it, and we'll get a hold of them immediately. So I'm very grateful for the other career centers for immediately picking that up. And the Finger Lakes Regional Economic Development Council was mentioned. I am one of the co-chairs for that group. We are very, very busy right now, preparing the reports, preparing inventory. This is the big ramp up time. So it's just been a lot of busy work. The meeting that Mike Wilson mentioned, October 14th for economic development. If you want an invitation to that, Vinny Esposito is there. Empire State Development, there's going to be a chock full of really good economic information. And Bridget is, she is one of the folks really convening and a big part of the RADC project. So that's going to be a really good meeting. We'll have the date and time. We'll put out an invitation to everyone if you'd like to zoom in to that, but that one's cranking up. And there'll be a lot of good information coming out of that forward. NIATEP, which is the New York Association of Training and Employer Professionals. That's really, really close. It's not they, several months ago, did a DEI survey. And so you may have received a survey months and months ago. The information has come in, diversity, equity, and inclusion. And it's a lot of good. This is like a foundation to understand diversity, equity, inclusion, and what are the populations currently serving in different roles. It's chock full of a lot of good information. There was a great big huge push for this, obviously, in 2020. And a lot of work continues to go on with that. So there's more to come. The link for that report will be provided as well. Thank you for those that participated. I know I reached out to the board specifically during that time. There was a lot of questions and a lot of good comments that came back. So I appreciate everyone's interest and your willingness to participate in that survey. And I think that's it.
Thank you, Lynn. New business before the board. We will start with approval of the minutes from the May 18th, 2022 meeting. Jennifer had sent those out. Can I have a motion to approve them? Rick, thank you. A second?
Second.
Any discussion on or edits to those minutes? And we will engage in a vote. Anyone voting to approve those? Aye. Anyone again? Anyone to abstain? Thank you.
If I may interrupt right here, Dr. Ramos is not in attendance in person or via Zoom, so she will not be needing to abstain. And the rest of the resolution will be voted on as well.
Thank you, Jen. Okay, we have several resolutions before the board to go through. First is 0122, the revised youth work experience policy. This does need a little bit of discussion.
So basically this one here is an internal process just to account for, it basically accounts for the money. Anytime a youth goes on a work experience, how that is accounted for. So we just needed to have an internal policy, and that has gone out and it was approved through finance and audit, and it went on to executive. It's an internal process just to more accurately and more completely capture that information. And then Dre had done up a 2-page that really explained additional information in there. That is resolution 0122. Any questions about that? Okay, resolution 02-22. This is, so we've been talking about the Disabilities Resource Coordinator, the DRC position in the Department of Labor, put out a grant for 3 years. We've had a request for proposal, RFP, out for this for some time, and we are in the process of finalizing a contract with Wayne ARC. I have no idea what ARC is. I just know that it's, can you help me with that, Michelle?
I think that they're, when we changed to the ARC Ontario,
yeah,
I'm not we changed. No.
What does ARC stand for?
Well, it's different for each.
Oh, okay.
So ours is
I don't think
stand
so.
for a respected choice.
Okay.
You know, 100 years ago, it was
Okay.
Association of Retarded Children, but nobody said that.
Right. So organization affiliated with individuals with disabilities.
And for Wade, it's not, it's the ARC.
Yeah, that's what I was
The
saying.
ARC
They changed
designated.
ours, so it's not an acronym.
So I should not go on. Thank you, Jen. So we're in the process. We need approval from the board for it to be an actual official. So that's one of the resolutions, 0322. This is for WIOA, Workforce Investment and Opportunities Act, Title I youth funding. So when we talked about Seneca County.
You had a question.
Oh, I'm sorry, Randy. Thank you.
I just had a question on the Wayne ARC RFP. Was OPWDD as a state entity offered the opportunity to have someone from that agency be on it? I mean,
it was it was a publicly posted RFP, request for proposal. It went through all of our chains with public. We did not solicit directly
Okay, thank you.
with anyone. Any other questions for the second resolution? Okay, so moving on to 0322, this is Title I youth funding for Seneca County. So when Seneca County chose not to continue on with the WIOA funding, that was both adult and dislocated worker funds, and it was also youth funding. So for the youth vendor, we are contracting with, this is the, thanks, Jen. This is, it's SOTUS and it's Finger Lakes Community Schools via the SOTUS Central School. So SOTUS Central School currently has a youth contract as well. They're expanding into Seneca County, working with the Finger Lakes Community Schools, which are located, has an office right there in Seneca. That one is for the youth portion of the Seneca County. Any questions about this resolution? Okay, moving on to 04-22. This is the adult and dislocated worker portion. This is through FLACRA, which is the Finger Lakes Addictions Resource Counseling Association. Same thing. This is the contract is in the process. We're waiting on your approval for this resolution to complete it. And then lastly, any questions on that contract? Okay. And then lastly, resolution 05-22. This goes back to the administrative agreement that we talked about because Seneca County chose not to continue on. Some of the languaging there needed to change. And then we really decided to go through it. There were some really good questions that came back on definitions. I'm only going to go through the one big one because it did cause a lot of conversation that came up through the committees and eventually went to executive for approval. Terminology, I'm just going to read it because I put it as clearly as I could. So the purpose of this agreement is for us to use the WIOA dollars with the contracted vendors. The grant recipient, subrecipient. So when these WIOA dollars come in, the chief elected official of Ontario County is the official grant recipient. So everything goes to Jack Marin in Ontario County because he's the CEO. So it goes to him. They are the grant recipient according to New York State Department of Labor. That's their definition. We as the WIP are the subrecipient. So then we utilize those dollars based on the administrative agreement and based on the bylaws and the direction of you as the board. So there's one clarification. However, when you're talking to state federal Department of Labor, they will use the terminology grant recipient as as New York State Department of Labor, and then the Finger Lakes WIP is the subrecipient. So as you're going through this document and you're using these terms, it is confusing. When I received the copy of the notice of award going to Jack Marin in Ontario County, because that is a federal piece of paper, he is the subrecipient. Anything we get from New York State Department of Labor says that he is the grant recipient. This is very spelled out. Normally you don't have definitions in contract paperwork, but we needed this. It was a lot of good conversation. The rest of this was really just kind of cleaning up, updating who the vendors were, getting rid of old things that were either obsolete, and cleaning up some duplicity. So there was a lot of good time spent on reworking this through the county partners, Department of Labor, and ultimately it went to the executive committee who had additional questions, and ultimately it was passed through there. That's the one. That's what resolution number 5 is. Any questions on that?
Then I just have one going back to resolution 3. So for the Seneca County, we're awarding the contract to SOTA Central, which is in Wayne County. So is the Finger Lakes Community School in Seneca County or in Wayne?
So yes, so it is based right there. However, they are partnered with the Finger Lakes Community Schools, who is housed directly right there. So our connectivity is directly in Seneca County. And we're very excited about that because there's great connectivity. SOTUS has, that's all the SOTUS group, that's all they do is programming. They have very good outcome numbers. So we're excited for that program to be expanded. Likewise, we've got the partnership through the Finger Lakes Community Schools, so they're directly connected. So we feel very confident that we're doing.
Then when you say housed directly right there, like at the county complex?
I don't know where their actual address is, so we can find that out. And we'll let you know.
But it's in Seneca.
It's in
In
Seneca
Seneca
County, yeah. I don't believe that they are right there. I think they have their own office buildings, but we'll find that out. Good question, thank you.
I was thinking, I'm like, wait, either my geography is wrong.
Nope.
So this is.
Nope, you were spot on. Any other questions about any of the resolutions?
Okay, can we have a motion on resolution 01 through 05-22? They'll come forward as a block. I'm looking for someone to do that. Thank you, Mike Davis, a second.
Second.
Joe. Who did that? Mike, I think, okay, thank you. Any discussion on these? We get a vote in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Anyone abstain? Carrie, thank you. The presentation today is youth and Yates County Grit and CPT, and we have Joe Davis from Yates County giving that, and you'll need to explain the acronym. Jen, you need to unmute.
And Joe, don't forget to there you are.
I got too many screens open. Hold on.
And while they are getting this set up, I will just share Drea. Drea's not here because she's heading into the department. As I said, we're going through the bond deal and the continued Department of Labor audit. So she is assisting with that. So she's not here. She did a lot of work on this. So I'm sorry that my abbreviated version was abbreviated. And then Joe's going to speak for us on the activities through Yates County, as well as youth initiatives.
Sounds good. How do you want to start?
You're on, go.
I'm on. All right, so Dre and I had been discussing, where the youth programs are and where we'd like to see them go. A couple of things to understand to begin with the low unemployment rate. One of the populations that we're really not tapping into are youth. Youth employment for ages 16 to 17, according to the U.S. Census Bureau, is 25% currently. That is, half of what it was 15 years ago. It is 40% for 18 to 19-year-olds and about 70% for those that are ages 20 to 24 who fit into our We Owe Youth Out of School program. So there is a huge opportunity to tap into youth for a lot of part-time employment. I truly believe that working, cashier and customer service type jobs are essential to growth. Both socially and career readiness wise. So having a job, even if it's just a couple hours a week, is a huge step for people. The other thing is, traditional education programs are, not for everyone. And I think we've finally learned that. For when I was in school, it was forced upon us. If you didn't have a bachelor's degree, you couldn't be successful, was the message of school districts. We know that's not the case now. So our goal is to, get people informed about what programs are available out there sooner, get them prepared, for work and actually trying things out. So, you can only grow into things about, and you can only develop skills if you're given the opportunity. Education, the purpose of education has always been career readiness. think it kind of forgot its place for a long time, but education is career readiness. And so, you know, it's important that we work together to try to make sure that folks get those opportunities. So here's just a couple of the topics we'll be touching on today. I am not, I'll do my best on Andrea's portions here, but as far as the We Owe a Youth program, you know, the goal is to meet youth where they are in their lives. New York State Department of Labor determines what eligibility requirements there are for folks. Generally speaking, if people receive any type of public assistant or have an IEP, they can be enrolled in the program. That's an individual educational plan for those of you that don't know. Sorry about that. I will try to be careful with the acronyms. So what we do is we enroll both in-school youth and out-of-school youth, ages 16 to 24. And what we look at is what their needs are, you know, what barriers they have to employment, what obstacles they might have in their personal life. Do they live in a rural area? Do they have transportation issues? Might they be a teen parent? Would they have childcare issues? Do they need supports? Have they never worked before? So we would look at what type of services would be beneficial in that way. Also, if they're in-school youth, because 25% of the folks we work with are in-school youth, we want to make sure that they're being academically successful as well. So it's just as important to make sure we set them up with tutoring or mentors if need be. As far as opportunities are of interest, what opportunities are of interest, we went through a time period where everyone we enrolled wanted to be a video game designer, right? Everyone who was coming to us. It's not a realistic career path in our region. You know, obviously there's opportunities for it out there, but not really around here. So what we want to do is get people acclimated to what types of jobs are here. And we've been able to do that through work tryouts and job shadows. We work on getting information, and then we try to narrow down, you know, what things do people like to do, and point them in the direction of careers that might fit those with those interests. And then what will help with their success. So one of the things that we do here, especially, is we will pay for driving lessons and for driving tests for individuals. You know, that's a $600, $500 to $600 value to pay, depending on where you live. And you know, you're only as free as far as you can go. So that's something we certainly can help students with. We'll also help with other supports, you know, when possible. So if they're in a training program, we'll help with gas, and you know, other types of supportive services. All right. Wheel youth program model. So I don't. Oh. So if you look, it can be quite convoluted. There are 13 required elements for individuals that are enrolled in the We Owe Youth program. Again, the big thing is we want to make sure that we are addressing all of the needs of individuals. So the whole life needs, you know, so financial literacy, guidance and counseling, adult mentorship, leadership development, training, tutoring skills, occupational skills training, post-secondary transition. So there's a number of services that we are addressing when it comes to these youth, and we are trying to engage them on many levels. And, you know, especially with the in-school youth, we're not in communication with them every day. But you know, it's a long game for us. So we're enrolling students and we're working with them over a year or 2 years to kind of help them along on their path. Finger Lakes works with their hands. As Lynn already mentioned, 25 school districts, 443 students, 74 chaperones, 142 exhibitors represented, 54 exhibitors that spanned agriculture, food processing, manufacturing, healthcare, human services, the large occupations here. It's a great opportunity for individuals to really get exposed to things that they haven't been exposed to in the past and see what jobs are actually like. You know, it's been a huge success for some time, and hopefully it just continues to grow. I don't know if Bob's here today, but Bob Coyne presented about a year ago to this committee about the Finger Lakes Youth Apprenticeship Program, Finger Lakes Youth Apprenticeship Program, and RTMA, Rochester Technical Manufacturing
Association, that one I know.
Thank you. They've been working with Monroe County BOCES and slowly expanding into the Genesee, Livingston, Orleans, and Wyoming region, as well as the Finger Lakes BOCES. They connect students with local employers and set up job shadows for 11th graders and paid internships for 12th graders. We heard this presentation and one of these counselors at Penn Yan Academy and I, who oversee this careers and technical education programs, which is engineering and agriculture, construction technology in-house. So they have CNC machines. They do a lot of construction career trade readiness stuff. We were able to bring Bob in and do a presentation with these students. And we were able to set up 5 students with job shadows last year. It was a pretty quick turnaround for the program. So we're looking to add more of those as the year goes on. You know, these are with manufacturers. So we have businesses like Abtex and Penn Yan Aero who are involved, and we have other manufacturers who are interested. So this is something that we're hoping, you know, grows across the school districts. It was easy for Penn Yan because they have a state certified CTE program. However, I know that MCC provides the coursework for those school districts that do not have in-house programs. Is Bob here?
He's not today. Joe.
Okay, all right. But if you have more questions, you should certainly talk to Bob, because, you know, obviously he's expert at this, but it's just a huge opportunity for, you know, again, kids to get exposed to careers, to try things out, to be involved with the manufacturers, and then for manufacturers really to bring folks in and, you know, have a paid internship, and then you already have a connection, you know, and there's a good chance that those folks will come back to you down the road. So, you know, even
I just want to interject here to say, either reach out, if you know Bob directly, Bob Coyne, go ahead and reach out to him directly, or reach out to us and we'll get you connected. One of the priorities for the youth services to be able to is to generate and assist and advocate, promote more of these relationships. This program specifically has a very high success rate, and we want to see as much of that coming into the Finger Lakes region as possible. So reach out at any time, and we're happy to start the process.
Sure. Like, how is this being communicated to schools? No,
yeah.
As a
So
parent, I've never heard of it.
Sure, no, that's,
Other than through the board. but-
yep, that's a perfect question, yeah. So, once I became aware of this and actually, when I was at Workforce Development Institute, WDI, I started a conversation with the Finger Lakes region. And then working with, Joe Davis. Joe, I'm gonna let you explain that because you went through this process. So again, the connectivity between the schools, the employer partners. Joe, I'll let you finish the story because you did it.
Yeah, no, it was really, I mean, really easy process. I think the first thing is, if you have technology teachers out there that have kids that are interested in these types of careers, pretty much what we did is we brought Bob in and we presented to about 20 students who were interested, and some of them had already signed into colleges to go on for engineering. And they really wanted to, experience a machine shop and kind of see what it was like on the floor, which I think is huge for those folks as far as learning.
Joe, how did you get to those 20 students? So, because I know you approached the schools and it's working with, like you said, the tech teachers, the guidance counselors, for students that you knew, because this is targeted industries and targeted training. I want to make sure we're completely.
Yeah, so again, we started with Penn Yan Academy because they had those students already in the CTE program. So we sent home flyers and information, and then the school counselor actually talked to each individual student about their interest in participating in such a program.
So part of this program is as successful as it is. FLCC has a very similar recruitment process for the non-credit programs. It's not traditional open enrollment where you can just sign in. The employers are at the table, they're partnering. There's a more intensive orientation, almost like interview process. So there's actually, there's a lot of upfront that goes into it. So you're targeting students that are already showing an interest, or that either guidance counselors or tech teachers feel that would be a good fit. Yeah. So sometimes it's not always just an open canvas. It's a little bit more targeted.
To the guidance.
Yeah.
So they know, like
Right.
the other districts.
Right, there's always the tech teachers and the guidance counselors that are working daily with the students. They know, right? So you're kind of going again. Whereas Clear Lakes works with their vet, we want to go come and if you think you can't stand farming or whatever, but you know what? Sometimes they go through these things, and the technology for farming has changed, and agriculture has changed so much. It's a lot different than what we envision in our minds. So that's more of an awareness access type of event, whereas this is very targeted. Thanks, Joe.
And it's much small. I mean, it's much smaller numbers, right? I mean, so we're talking about a handful of students, but there's a very good chance that they're going to end up in those positions in the future. So, it's much more targeted. And then businesses come to us all the time and say they're having trouble with recruitment, and so we're talking to them about playing the long game, getting involved in the schools, having students come on walkthroughs, doing these job shadows and then internships, so that you're building your future. You may not get them all, but you'll get some of them. Relationships with students and potential employees. So the more skin you have in the game early, I think the better your chances are in the future. And that's really what we're selling businesses, and where we're at. And I've talked to businesses in other counties that are very interested in this, and Dre is in communication with the school districts to try to get these opportunities started. This is and obviously this is very, very focused on two industries, really, construction and manufacturing. But for us, what we were able to do is kind of look at the model and utilize it on a smaller scale. New Visions out of BOCES does career readiness at the hospitals, and gets people some practical experience there. So we had a student who was an out of school youth in our WIO program. She's finishing her health services associate's degree at FLCC, and she's wants to go on to be in a radiology tech. So she's in the process of applying to an MCC in upstate. We were able to set her up with a job shadow at Finger Lakes Health. We also have an individual who's a senior at Penn Yan Academy, who's interested in being a lineman. And because he's a senior and he has no classes in the afternoon because he has so few classes left to take. Right now, we're doing career readiness badge with him through Skill Up Online, which is one of our services. And then we'll do electrical safety with him through that program. And then in the spring, he'll be doing a job shadow with the linesman here at the village of Penn Yan. So we're looking for more avenues to get teenagers exposed. Okay. Any questions about that I can answer? Big questions, like I said, go to Bob. Yeah, and then Yates County and Finger Lakes Grit. We were partners. FLCC, as Dr. Nye had spoke about in the beginning of the presentation. FLCC was able to partner with the Education Design Lab and the Rural Bridges program. And the goal of the program is to provide access to people in rural areas that they normally wouldn't have. And so through the project, we talked about what types of programs would meet the needs of employers locally, so that, let's say someone didn't have transportation, they could get training here and then parlay that into a job that's right in the area. So FLCC started with the Certified Production Technician program that we ran in the spring. That has actually moved into Foundations in Manufacturing, which is running now. That serves as the entire classroom coursework for a number of apprenticeships in quality manufacturing, industrial machining. So it's its own certification course, and at the same time, it can lead to apprenticeship and count for those hours. So that's a huge step. As Dr. Nye said, they've added 4 other sites, I think 5 now, 5 other sites. And, we're looking to increase the programs. As far as impact on youth, we are offering training programs at night. If an individual is 18 years old, they can certainly enroll. Also, we're hoping to add some programs in the afternoon and do kind of the same thing we're doing with the job shadow, where if someone goes to school, they could come over in the afternoon and take maybe a computer course. We have these high flex classrooms that are available to the community now. We're looking to tap into them in every way we possibly can. Any questions? Thank you.
Thank you, Joe. Next topic is other announcements. A reminder on the QR code used for the meeting evaluation. And then conflict of interest, Jennifer.
Yes, if you remember signing one recently, that was for last year. We need one for PY22. So feel free to sign it in here and drop it off with me. If I don't pick one up from you today, I will send you the DocuSign version.
Thank you. Our next meeting is Wednesday, November 16th. This is Newark BOCES location, correct?
Correct.
And we are expected to be back in person.
Yep, the governor has not extended the public meeting law. So September 24th is the last date where you can have a hybrid option. We are fully back to in-person meetings starting September 25th. We'll continue to communicate this out. It was a little bit of a nail biter this morning. We had a couple of people called up. We had quorum, we didn't. So to everyone that's here, we came in at the exact number that we did. Thanks so much for being here. Going forward, it's even more important than ever. So that's what it is for today. There's a lot of communication around this. Needless to say, in our service area, 4 counties, travel is significant, and we've all become more proficient in our remote and virtual work worlds. So we'll keep you posted on that. But for right now, the latest word is it's not being extended. The November board meeting is mandatory in person.
Yes, thank you. The presentation that's planned for that meeting is Cecilia Walsh will be sharing new cannabis laws and updates at the state level. We need a motion to adjourn today's meeting. Mike Davis, a second. Mike Cinco. We need to vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Anybody who's going to go against? We're carried. Thank you so much, everybody. You want to stay out all day? Breakfast.
Thanks, everyone. Good to see everyone.
So you say building, so people have a few things, they fill out a lot of business.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't I just wasn't sure that was.
Yeah, we need to.
Sorry. Yeah, we're good.
No, and we have multiple.
We had.
You would,
So we can. Yeah.